One of the biggest misconceptions is that your frame trap in Tekken needs to be high reward or it needs to be a launcher, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, please check out my previous videos, Frame Trapping for Dummies and the Definitive Frame Trapping Guide. I think that's what those are called. Frame trapping is like the key strategy to get out of yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, honestly, even higher ranks. Frame trapping is so fundamental to the game, right? And this idea started because of a question I got in chat. I'll cover it for you and kind of recap it and then explain what I'm talking about, right? N for Blaze asked, what's a frame trap for Bryan? And I didn't even see the question, but one of my viewers said back one into one, and he said it was useless. And then was like, it's +4. You could do down. Bryan has a down forward too. It's not down forward 1. But he's saying all of Bryan's good moves are 14 or more, right? So they all get beat out by 1. So the claim. We're doing this. I haven't done this kind of video in forever. I'm excited to do this. Bryan's back one into one jab. This is a frame trap, right? So back one is +4. One jab is 10 frames. I-10, like impact 10. That's the notation there. Useless, right? And that perspective is kind of reasonable if you think every frame trap should be like Jin Kazama's, right? So Jin Kazama has really good frame traps, right? Like this is a really good frame trap because of the follow-ups. Okay, I'll play the whole thing. Down back 4, and then 1 + 2. Now, the reason this is so good is because this is +3. The low is +3. So if I try to jab, he gets that guaranteed, right? Because the standing 4 is 13 frames. So my 10-frame jab, when he's +3, becomes 13 frames. So 13 versus 13, they tie. And that's what he gets on a normal frame trap. But actually, because we trade... So let me demonstrate this if I didn't jab, okay? If I didn't jab, say I picked a slower move, like down forward 2. Jin frame traps me here. He gets that guaranteed. Good stuff, right? But if he trades with my jab, right? He actually gets a full launcher. Because on the jab trade, he gets more frame advantage. I am blocking here, and I get hit for free, right? And you can actually see that in the frame data here. If you look at Jin's frame data, he's +27, right? So this is why most people think a frame trap needs to be a launching frame trap, because of Jin Kazama. So the idea that was being conveyed by N for Blaze is that Bryan's frame traps aren't as good because they can just mash jab out of it, and you don't get your launcher, right? Like fast high attack. Jab, right? Or even like, let's say a proper low rank mash would be like a full jab string, 1 2 4, right? Or as Jin would probably do, 2 1 4, right? Like something like that. So if the Bryan player is just going for the big reward stuff, like Bryan wants to counter hit with these big moves. Bryan wants to hit like this move. Bryan wants to hit like this move. Bryan wants to hit this move, all on counter hit, right? That's what this guy is thinking of. And his complaint is that these moves all get beaten out by 1, right? So if I do this, if I do this and try to do my big move, I get interrupted. Well, that's not fair. This frame trap isn't doing anything. How do I frame trap somebody who's just going to mash his 10-frame move? And that is when my viewer said, just frame trap with jab. Now, of course, that seems useless if you compare it to Jin's frame trap, right? But I want you to think about it in an expanded way. What happens after the jab frame traps? Now you're +8, right? So you turn this +4 move into +8 because the jab succeeded, right? And now it's way different. So pretend now that the jab hit, and then Jin mashes this. Now everything works. +8, counter hit, right? +8, counter hit with a trade, right? +8. This move is too slow, but the forward 3 is fantastic. So because you are frame trapping with jab, you unlock a higher frame trap immediately. So say the opponent mashes after jab. Now they die to almost anything, right? Jab on hit is +8. Boom. So here is what I want to highlight is Useless? No, I feel like a college professor typing like this. Now, Bryan is +8 instead of just +4, right? And what can we do with +8? We can frame trap with forward 3, which is 16 frames. You could use 3 + 4, which is 18 frames. Or, if your opponent likes sidestepping a lot, you can start tracking them with these other moves, right? Where's this? I think if I put in sidewalk here, I'll still win. Yep, sidewalk right. Then sidewalk left. Yeah, so at +8, you can also start tracking sidesteps. So this is all good and well, but that's not the only thing that can happen. Say you're +8 now, right? Say you're +8, and the opponent just blocks, right? They got hit by a jab, so they know, okay, I should probably just block, right? Right? Jab hits, and then I try to do my move, and they're blocking. Well, what happened to my damage? I thought I was supposed to win off a frame trap. Well, now look to the next interaction. If you know they're going to block after a jab, you can hit them with one of the biggest lows in the game. +5. Creating another frame trap situation, right? So it's really, really good. So frame trapping with a jab is not useless. It unlocks the next situation. And Bryan can work a lot with that, right? So say you're +8 and you know the opponent's going to block. You keep hatchet kicking them, right? Say you're +8, the opponent blocks. Now you unlock the mids again. So now your opponent is incentivized to do something when they're -8, when you're +8. And that's what you want them to do. You want them to mash into this. So you're cycling mind games around the plus frames, right? It's a bit convoluted at first because it feels like the +4 is amounting to nothing, right? It feels like the +4 amounts to nothing, when in reality, that +8 is what you've really earned, right? And it's not just that. Say you don't want to convert into a jab. Say like you don't want to just single jab. Bryan can still get good reward, right? If Jin mashes here, I can get a heat engager. I can do this nonsense, right? And don't forget you have Snake Eyes now. Look at that, right? These things start to really add up. So the +8 from the jab that Bryan can get is a huge deal. That's a bit harder to wield as a newer player, but that is the value. Hopefully that makes sense. So there's not much else to cover without going ridiculously deep, but Bryan also plays a lot of mental frames, and both of these concepts are universal to multiple characters. But Bryan, even though his down forward 2 is -6, so he gives up his turn, if the opponent mashes, they get counter hit launched by down forward 2-3, right? So there's the constant threat of that whenever he does a single down forward 2, right? Whenever he does this, you kind of have to be, as the defender, be afraid of him just finishing the string. So as Bryan, you can start doing single down forward 2, and your opponent will start stand blocking because they don't want to eat the counter hit extension. And then you can hatchet kick them again, right? So off the two concepts, off of the jab +8, right? Off of the jab +8, say the opponent blocks, you can mix with hatchet or another mid, right? Say the opponent mashes, you can mix, or you can frame trap with the slower moves, right? Right here. Make sense? Now, you can do the same with mental frames from strings like down forward 2-3 and down 2-3, I think. Yeah, down 2-3. Like Bryan has tons of these. Okay, and you can use it either to mix with hatchet or another mid, or frame trap them. Right. This is the basics of how to leverage a slower frame trap that comes from a jab. Any last things I want to cover here? Yeah, no, not really. If the opponent starts playing sidesteps or movement, you have down forward 1 off the +8. You have homing moves. I don't know what his homing move is. Down forward 4. This move, yeah. It's slower, but because they're sidewalking at disadvantage, it's more likely to hit, right? So that is how you leverage a frame trap off of your 1 jab. It's not getting the immediate reward. Oh yeah, 1 + 2 as well. It's not getting the immediate reward of damage or a launcher, but rather, as soon as they mash into the jab, they put themselves in a shittier position than the back 1 had them in, right? Now they're -8. Off this, they were just -4, right? Another convenient thing too is remember that down forward 2 is 13 frames. So even if you counter hit here, that's 34 damage. That's not bad, right? It's not the best, but it creates a good situation. And down forward 2 is +5, which is the same frame advantage as a hatchet kick. So you still have advantage, even though it's not a Jin Kazama frame trap. It's still very valuable. Surely I've rambled enough. Hopefully that makes sense about how you can use frame traps from as simple as a jab, right? It doesn't seem that useful, but it is. Okay, last minute question here. What if they power crush off a jab? Power crushes are active on frame 7, right? We're +4, so based on the math, our jab should come out frame 6. Or you can think of it the other way, their power crush comes out frame 11. So if I do this, my jab will actually just beat the armor before it comes out. Frame 8 is what Rage Arts come out. So back 1 jab will also beat Rage Art. See that? So jab for Bryan and characters that don't have insane like frame traps, like Lily as well, are really important, right? If you're a Lily player, jab makes your back 1 frame trap, right? What about Flash? That's the Yoshimitsu privilege. You can't frame trap Yoshimitsu that much, right? But if you look at here, like Lily having jab, oh my god, that was a Rage Art. I need Jin to jab in response. Now Lily's +8. Off the +8, she can frame trap into this, right? So plus frames off a jab are a very big deal. Yes, it's harder to wield than like a launching frame trap, but it's a big deal. So hopefully that helps. Leave a comment if you got any questions. Leave a like if you enjoyed this. If you got nothing to say, leave an emoji. Catch you in the next one. Peace.